Hello, my name is Dylan with the anime summary. A boy wakes up in a mysterious dark cave and assumes he isn't dead yet and goes by the name Hajime Nagumo. He gets up and is confused about where he's located and how he fell into the Great Orcus Labyrinth. Hajime assumes that he's so deep in that he needs to head up to the upper levels fast. He walks through the floor and notices how big it is compared to the others he's experienced and sees a bunny. Wolves appear with red eyes charging at the bunny, and the bunny takes the wolves out in 2 hits, shocking Hajime. He accidentally falls and the bunny turns towards him. The bunny walks up towards him curious. A giant creature emerges in front of Hajime and the bunny. The bunny tries to escape, but the giant creature uses its claws and kills the bunny in one swing. While the creature is eating the bunny, Hajime tries to make the escape, but it notices him and slices his arm off. He throws up blood and panics while staring at the monster eating his right arm. The monster walks closer to Hajime. In a panic, not wanting to die, uses transmute magic to stall the monster and go inside a wall to try and avoid him. Once far away, Hajime realizes that he's lost lots of blood and passes out. Hajime wakes up later with his arm in pain, staring at a holy crystal above his head, a stone that was formed by crystallization over a long period of time. He comes to the understanding that he can't kill the big monster and will die in the labyrinth and regrets going into the labyrinth. We get a flashback to 7 days before the departure into the labyrinth. The Commander Mel is giving an informative lecture to everyone to help each other while in the labyrinth. While on the 20th floor, Hajime is attacked by a red wolf, knocking his sword out of his hand. One of his classmates, Koki, slays the monster and states that he will keep everyone safe. Hajime thanks Koki. Daisuke, one of his classmates, comes in being a jerk, calling him useless and asking why he bothers with using a sword. Kaori, another classmate, comes up to Hajime to check on him, asking him if he's okay. When getting on, Koki educates Hajime to work harder and use all of his free time that he has to train and get a little stronger. Kaori notices a shiny crystal on the roof. Their teacher and Commander Mel educates them on the crystal they see as a gland's crystal, usually not seeing a gigantic one like that. Daisuke foolishly tries grabbing the crystal and activates a teleportation crystal trap. The class is teleported onto a bridge, scared for their lives, being on the 65th floor. On the opposite side, a massive skeleton army and a gigantic dragon spawn to kill them. Meld commands everyone to fall back and head for the stairs quickly. Kaori falls and Mel tells her to keep moving and tells her that he's not going to let her die. He uses hollowed ground, a protective shield, to buy time and stall the monsters. The dragon easily breaks the shield, sending the soldiers backwards and making the bridge crumble. Hajime, tired, uses transmute to protect Kaori and stall the beast. He orders Mel and Kaori to escape and get to safety and agree to leaving the destructing bridge. The wall breaks and Mel tells Hajime to get out and will be covering him. Hajime runs towards safety off the bridge. Mel orders all the kids to fire blue fireball magic to distract the monster. He commands the second volley, but a guy in the shadows fires one blue magic fireball at Hajime, knocking him deeper into the labyrinth. While falling, Hajime doesn't remember anyone wanting to kill him, but knows that the attack was directly aimed at him, trying to kill him. Realizing that it was him who knocked him off, Hajime comes to the conclusion while laying down that nobody is going to go rescue him. He wonders about why he has to suffer in the pain that he's going through right now. Hajime is enraged at the fact that he was brought into the labyrinth and thinks that all of his classmates betrayed him. He thinks of a plan since the enemies are too powerful and wants to survive and go home. He motivates himself, saying that if anything is in his way, he'll kill them. Hajime is deprived of hunger and water and drinks from the cave. He's crazy about it and doesn't care if he has to eat monsters to survive. More wolves appear, noticing Hajime, and charges at him into his cave. He jumps over a hole made in his cave and both of the wolves fall in. He uses transmute magic to cause an avalanche in the hole and uses a spear to kill and take the rest of the meat from the wolves. He eats the wolves and is disgusted by the way the meat tastes. Hajime drops the meat in irritation inside of him from eating the meat. He tries to drink more water, but it doesn't help the agony he is feeling inside. Hajime transforms in pain, screaming at the top of his lungs and his hair turning white. Inside of his body, the blue cells are getting infected and everything is turning red. Lying on the water, he is thankful for the holy water, and without it, the monster's meat would have torn him apart from the inside. Although he doesn't feel any pain anymore, as well as feeling lighter than before. He looks in the mirror in turmoil about the way his appearance is now. Hajime checks his status plates and comprehends that the more monsters he eats, levels him up faster. He obtains the lightning field from the wolf monsters and cooks the meat so he's not eating it raw and devours more. Hajime plans to make a weapon using tar stone, just being a black rock, a blast rock being a flammable stone. He creates bullets from the blast rock and the revolver from the extremely tough tar stone. He tests the gun on the bunny using the lightning field ability and kills the bunny in one shot. He gives his revolver the name Donner. After training for a while, he plans to repay the big monster for taking his right arm. The monster devouring anything walking through the cave notices Hajime. He taunts the monster saying that he's going to kill and eat him. The monster charges at him with his claws, but Hajime easily dodges since acquiring the quick step ability from the bunny. He uses aerodynamics to make some space and misses his shots on the monster. The monster knocks Hajime onto the ground and knocks the gun out of his hands. He throws a flashbang which blinds the monster and uses one bullet to take the monster's right arm. The arm falls in front of Hajime and he crawls and starts munching on it. The monster, enraged at the fact his arm is being eaten, charges at Hajime. Hajime uses lightning field on the monster's blood and shocks him to the ground. He fires one bullet, killing the monster. Meanwhile, at the castle, Meld, his soldiers, and 3 of Hajime's classmates report to the king that they found a new kind of trap being the Glands crystal and were instantly transported to the 65th floor. One of the pastors besides the king tells him that the 65th floor is the deepest level anyone's reached in the labyrinth. The king orders Meld to not tell anyone what happened and he complies. Later that night, Shizuku, a sword fighter and one of Hajime's classmates, is practicing her sword skills in the middle of the plaza. She swings her sword on the wood sticks in the air for practice. She notices Daisuke behind her murmuring to himself. Shizuku starts a conversation with him and walks up closer to him. Daisuke nervously replies back to her quickly. She tells him that she's been training to not get rusty and to keep up. She recommends him train as well. But he refuses and walks away spooked. Shizuku recalls that he was known for picking fights with Hajime even when people came over. She wonders if Daisuke likes Kaori and Hajime falling on the bridge wasn't an accident. She laughs it off thinking that scenario would be crazy. In Kaori's bed, Shizuku is sitting beside her holding her hand. Kaori wakes up and Shizuku cries tears of joy. She asks Kaori how she is feeling and she tells her that she is just fine, just feeling a little sleepy. Kaori tells her that all she remembers is that they were in the labyrinth, but before she finishes, Shizuku changes the conversation, asking if she is thirsty. While pouring water out, Kaori asks questions about the whereabouts of Hajime, and that she can't remember if they saved him or not. In sadness and trauma, Shizuku says no reluctantly. Kaori, not wanting to believe it, tries getting up out of bed but falls to the ground. She cries feeling guilty of leaving Hajime in the labyrinth all by himself. Deeper in the labyrinth, Hajime uses transmute to build a campsite around himself. He pours water into holes, coming to the fact that he has no clue how far the labyrinth goes down, already going down 50 floors since he fell. He assumes that maybe behind the door on the floor he will have some answers to his questions. He walks up to the door to investigate and notices a strange 3-circle triangle in front of the door. He has no clue what it does. He notices it's really old and uses transmute to try and unlock the door. The door shocks him, but he dashes away safely. He looks up to see the 2 giant statues emerge as guardians of the door. Hajime uses his gun, aiming at the red monster's eye and taking it out. The blue monster, raging that his brother died, charges at Hajime. He runs around trying to shoot the monster, but he uses defensive magic to negate his attacks. He goes behind rocks for cover, reloading his revolver. The blue monster tries smacking him into pieces, but Hajime dodges the blow. He fires more bullets mid-air, breaking the blue monster's armor. While fighting the monster, he sees that the monster can't leave the door and wonders the secrets behind the door. From a distance, he fires every bullet, eventually breaking all the magic and armor defenses. The monster tries smashing him again, but gets shot in the eye and taken down. Meanwhile, on the surface, when the sun is rising, Kaori is still not accepting the death of Hajime, thinking that he's still alive. She swears to check for herself and to get stronger for herself as well. She asks Shizuku if she will help and she agrees. Kaori hugs her tightly, thanking her for her assistance. After Hajime eats the monsters, he obtains 2 mana stones from the blue and red monsters, revealing to be keys for the door. He places the 2 mana stones on the door, causing a red aura to appear, unlocking the door. Hajime opens the door to see a yellow night sky with a mysterious yellow cube at the end of the room. He makes his way up to the cube to see green vines making their way to the cube, showing a blonde girl chained up inside. Before doing anything, Hajime says goodbye, apologizing to her sarcastically. The girl pleads with him to help her escape the imprisonment. He explains that anybody with a brain wouldn't release somebody obviously sealed down in the labyrinth on purpose. She pleads once more, saying that she was betrayed. Hajime changes his heart since she was betrayed as well, walks up to her wanting her to explain why she was locked down in the labyrinth. She explains that she is from one of the long line of vampires and is extremely powerful. Then one day, her ministers told her that she was no longer needed and that her uncle was going to rule instead, but said she was too dangerous and decided to seal her in the labyrinth. She also goes on to say that she can manipulate mana and having fast regeneration skills while being hurt. He decides to break her out using all of his transmute magic, breaking the cube and freeing the girl. Exhausted, Hajime opens a bottle of water and drinks it fast. The girl grabs his hands and wants him to introduce himself to her. He introduces himself as Hajime Nagumo and wants to know the girl's name. She hesitates for a second and wants him to give her a name. He thinks of a name, giving her the name Yue, resembling the blonde hair, red eyes, and the moon in the night sky. Yue the Vampire agrees to the name, jumping and hugging him tightly. Hajime notices something from the ceiling, getting badly wounded, protecting Yue from the stalactite. Hajime pours water on his back to help with the pain. Yue runs over to his back and removes the stalactites one by one. He looks up towards the ceiling to see a giant crab monster staring at him. In the room, he tries using his revolver on the monster but has no effect. The monster uses purple laser beams and stalactite, but he dodges it carefully. He fires more bullets and uses flashbangs to slow the monster down while reloading. He uses quickstep to avoid the monster's physical attack, but out of nowhere, Yue gets off Hajime's back and starts sucking the blood out of him. He uses transmute to wall himself off until she is done. After she is done, she walks up to the monster and uses Azure Blaze above it, damaging it. She almost collapses after using the high-level magic. Hajime distracts the beast and Yue uses Azure Blade one more time to knock the monster onto the ground. Hajime jumps onto it and blasts the weak spot, slaying the monster. At the castle in the Colosseum, Mel tells all the students that they will be continuing with the practical training within the labyrinth with the present members. He trusts that everyone will prepare accordingly to their class and walks away. Kooki speaks to the class saying that the training will be a success and for no one to worry. Deeper into the dungeon, Hajime is carrying Yue and is running away from a pack of flowered head dinosaur monsters. He's weirded out by the fact that how many he takes out, they just keep coming back. He recalls seeing a monster munch the flowers, both realizing that the flowers are parasites. Hajime jumps into a cracked hole and hides from the monsters. After the monsters leave, Hajime gets up looking around for the source of the flowers. Yue sucks more blood from his neck and Hajime keeps walking to look. She bites him again and Hajime is annoyed by the fact she keeps doing it. They see a mysterious opening on a wall covered with flowers. A bunch of dinosaur monsters surround them and he runs through the opening cave area, blocking it with transmute so the monsters can't get through. They walk further into the cave, investigating the source of the flowers. While walking, Hajime tells Yue that his sense presence skill hasn't detected anything yet. They both notice green cube orbs floating towards them. He assumes it's an attack from the source and he uses a transmute wall to protect themselves. When lowering the wall, he notices Yue in a trance, and she attacks Hajime. A red flower appears above her head, being possessed by the source of the flowers. He hesitates to shoot at Yue. The source of the problem appears behind Yue to be a red flowered green monster. She grabs Yue's face and hides behind it. She manipulates Yue and fires a shot back at Hajime, putting a red flower on his head too. The flower instantly breaks from Hajime and he starts giggling evilly. She keeps using Yue to attack him in sadness, seeing him suffer, tells him not to worry about her and to shoot. Hajime doesn't hesitate nonchalantly and shoots right above her head, breaking the flower and taking off the right arm of the monster. He walks up to the monster face to face and kills it in one shot. It falls down onto the ground, burning to death. Hajime and Yue reach the stairs leading deeper into the labyrinth and start making their way deeper into the cave. While Yue is sleeping, Hajime is writing down notes on how they finally reached the 100th floor. At the end of the floor, there's a mysterious door standing in their way. If you guys like what you saw, be sure to subscribe, like the video, and we'll see you in the next video. Hope you guys have a great day. Peace.